You know what I mean? Just throwing that out there. So how about, I think a really good place to start would be in what we were talking about before we started rolling.
Okay.
Which is when you start with what drew you to your undergraduate degree, and then take us through your master's degree, and then we'll just go.
Sure. Yeah, I'm happy to do that. My first degree was in film and history at Queen Mary.
Oh, nice.
Queen Mary University of London. So 3 years in East London. That was pretty cool. It was a very academic one, and I didn't speak any English.
When you joined up?
Yeah, I spoke like intermediate, because obviously you have to show you have a language exam and stuff, but I definitely wasn't very comfortable writing about films or reading about, I don't know, medieval history. Yeah. But by the end of the third year, I was like, okay, this is good. It was worth it. I don't think I learned anything about filmmaking. I did learn a lot about, I don't know, writing about films and thinking about films, so that was useful. And then there was a gap year when I was just working, taking my time, trying to figure out what I wanted to do. I applied to the NFTS.
What kind of stuff are you doing in the gap year?
I worked for a TV production company for 6 weeks. Unpaid internship. Nice. Classic. Typical. They did British Top Model, and they also did 999 Killer on the Line and How Not to Kill Your Husband post-production stuff. And turns out I was really bad with British Top Model because I didn't know anything about who was who and whatsoever. So they used the other intern to deal with that part, and because I absolutely hated it, and I really liked the murder shows. So I just did a lot of stuff on the murder shows. So that was a good experience.
Did you enjoy it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that was really good. I learned a lot of stuff because my boss was actually very nice, and he took me the time to sit in with me in the post-production room and just talk me through editing and all that kind of stuff, which they didn't teach me at Queen Mary, where I paid 27 grand. It's not their fault, to be honest, because I was doing a joint degree. So it meant that you can't do anything practical. So other people would have learned something practical, but because I've decided I want to have 2 degrees out of this, I didn't get any practical stuff, anything. So I want to get...
Nothing against Queen Mary.
No, I really like them. I'm actually going to do some mentoring with the new students.
Cool. Are they in Bethnal Green?
Mile End.
Mile End.
Yeah.
Is that east?
East London. Yeah. So Whitechapel, Stepney Green, Mile End. It's changed a lot.
I know. I just moved to London Fields, a little higher north.
Yeah.
So
it's very nice, isn't it?
Yeah, it's wild.
Yeah.
So then you applied to NFTS?
Then I applied to NFTS, didn't get accepted. Then I applied again, didn't get accepted. And then I was about to give up. And I was working for a PR company at the time called Premier PR, doing the London Film Festival with them, doing the press screenings and that kind of stuff. And one of the teachers came along and he was like, oh, so we have a new course. The deadline's tomorrow. Do you want to apply? Because it would be really good for you. Because I got through all the rounds for the interviews at the NFTS, and this was the guy who was interviewing me all the time. I was like, okay, but it's in the day. I can't write an application. We have a 16-hour day ahead of us. But yeah.
And then you wrote the application anyway.
And I wrote a 1-line application saying, I know the deadline's tomorrow, I really want to apply. We have the LFF at the moment. Can't send you any references, anything. Please bear with me for another 2 weeks and I'll send you everything. But just take it as an application. And they were nice about it.
Nice.
Later on I worked for NFTS and figured out that the deadlines are not set in stone. So
I can imagine. It's like every film festival as well, though, right? It's like if you know the right people, you can always get a 2-week extension.
I think film festivals are getting slightly more strict about it now. Yeah.
I know there's the infamous example of Jim Cummings with his Thunder Road short. He, which I think, I can't remember how many years ago, won Sundance. And it was past the application window. And he just, out of the blue, direct message somebody. One of the programmers. Yeah. He looked up Sundance programmers on people on Twitter, messaged 12 of them. 1 day later, maybe 3 days later, he got a message back and it said, if you send it through, we'll see what we can do. You have to pay a late fee and then we can see what we can do.
That's nice.
And then at least they get the money from the late fee.
I mean, there's nothing wrong with trying once the deadline's over. Yeah. No one's going to get hurt. The worst thing that happens, you get a no.
Right.
And what do you do when you get a no? You ask a few more people and check if that no was a firm no.
And then ask again.
Yeah.
So for the LFF, what kind of stuff are you doing?
So that was a couple of years ago, before NFTS.
Yeah.
So I've done different things. I was working at Odeon, that was one of them, Odeon Leicester Square. So we were the primary venue at the time for the galas and the premieres and some of the big press screenings in the morning. And I was a popcorn girl for a couple of years, and then I managed at Odeon Penton Street. So that's when I first heard about the event and have seen it. I was like, oh my God, this is beautiful. And at the time, so they had the red carpet event. Yeah. And at the time they had Premiere PR doing all the PR for the London Film Festival. So then I was like, oh, I want to be like those girls. So I asked my bosses and I emailed everyone and I was like, okay, I need to get a job there. Yeah. So I got a job at Premiere PR. Oh,
and is that just a standalone PR firm or is that within Odeon?
No, that's a standalone PR firm. They're a really big PR firm, usually repping the biggest films and franchises and stuff. Cool. They're really good. Cool. They're really nice. I'm a fan. Yeah. I think I just wanted to figure out what PR was and if it was for me, because everyone kept saying that PR must be for you. And after 3 or 4 months, I decided it's probably not for me. But I'm very glad I learned about it.
Why?
No, I don't know. It was a little bit cold on the red carpet.
It was cold on the red carpet.
It was cold. You were just standing there. You weren't doing anything. You were smiling a lot and just standing and,
shaking
waiting.
Hands and kissing babies.
And you were just trying to help people, but there wasn't much to do. And you looked like you're very important, but you were the least important person there. And felt like it's not very creative. But I'm sure it is when you do big campaigns. Yeah, I'm sure. I only done a little bit of it, because I want to figure out if it's for me or not.
Yeah. And so then you applied to NFTS, got into the distribution course?
Yeah.
1 year master's?
2 years.
2 years.
NFTS is always 2 years.
2 years.
So the degree courses are 1 year and masters are 2 years.
How was it?
You start in January and you finish 2 years later in February. It was good. Yeah.
Do you have what kind of key takeaways? I know you can't really condense 3 years into...
Okay,
2 years into
what you have to know, so our course was the first one of its kind. We were the guinea pigs, so literally Nick Powell, who was the director at the time, he just passed away last week, which is super sad. He was the nicest person, the most helpful one, and a great producer. Yeah. Anyhow, so he would set us down one by one and talk to us about how they always wanted to do this course. It's going to be very complementary with the producing one. And because his background, so he was a producer, but before that he had a distribution company, a really, really, really good one that changed the entire landscape of the UK industry. So I was like, okay, if you say so, this is going to be good. I'm going to like it. What is my key takeaway? I don't know. Everything was good about it, if you ask me.
Is there anything you didn't know beforehand, specifically about distribution?
Oh, loads. I had a vague idea what distribution was.
And it really gave you a nuts and bolts appreciation for what it actually was.
God, yes. One of our best module was the acquisitions module. It was about 3 months. For 3 days per week, every day you had either one teacher or 2 teachers per day. And so full on lectures. On the other days you had other stuff to do. And they were prepping you for EFM. So they took us to the European film market. You were shadowing a company. You had to do script reports, you had to do screening reports, premiere reports, all of that. And it was just the most intense thing. Do you ever have that when you're only there for 8 hours in class, but at the end of the 8 hours, you feel like your brain is just, it's a sponge, and you're super tired, and you just go home at 5 p.m. and you sleep, and that was it. So that's how exhausted they made you. After 3 months, you were just doing that, and it was brilliant. And every day I was on fire. I was like, oh my God, tell me more about the contract. Tell me more about script reading. And then we went to EFM, and that was incredible. A brilliant experience. I was shadowing Kate from Curves and Artificial Eye. And good stuff.
Wow. What kind of stuff did that teach you being behind Coast? Because that's such a specific brand, you know? That's such
It is a very specific.
mood.
Yeah, so we met up beforehand. She'd give me a couple of scripts beforehand. And then once I went there, every day we would meet up and she would tell me if there's something she wants me to see. Then I did that. And if there was nothing particularly she wanted me to see, then I would pick my own. And then I write a report for her. I really liked when she sent me to see the promos. Okay. So a sales agent would have a promo screening in one of the screening rooms where you get to see like 10 of the upcoming films, like the entire slate basically. And promos are slightly longer than trailers, so they're like five minutes sometimes. And then I have to write a report on it for her. And it's really nice because there was one I particularly liked. And then when in May I went to Cannes, I've got to see the full feature, and Amazing. I was like, oh my God. And I was texting, I was like, I've seen the feature, and I knew it's going to be great.
And it's incredible.
And then in the evenings or midday, whenever, she would send me scripts when she had something coming in, and for the next day she needed it. And then when she had meetings, I could go and sit in and listen to it. That was cool.
Oh, man, incredible.
So it was really nice. Yeah. So
and
I learned a lot from that.
At what point was that in your 2 years at NFTS? Was that the second year, first year? Do you remember?
Halfway through.
Okay, halfway
so,
through.
Yeah, because EFM is January,
okay.
I think. End of Jan, beginning of Feb. So, yeah, winter.
Gotcha.
Winter in Berlin, so end of first year. It's really good.
And so what were some of the things you did when you came out of NFTS? Do you have any projects coming off the back of it?
Yeah. I just finished in February.
I didn't know it was so soon. That's crazy.
I finished like 8 months ago.
Oh, incredible. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. It's actually quite a big deal that I finished because I thought I'm never going to finish.
No way.
I had to crowdfund my course and then I got 4 scholarships.
Okay, nice.
Because every 3 months I thought I'm never going to finish, I'll have to leave, I don't have the money to pay for this.
Wow, you made it through.
But yeah. Finished,
nice.
So that's like every day still wake up and like, oh my God, how did that happen?
This is real life.
Is it true? So what did I do since then? I was working for E04 at the end of NFTS. That was my final internship. You're supposed to do 6 weeks, and then so I stayed on and did 6 months at E04. So finished there, and after that I went to work for a talent agency where I was.
How was that?
It was very interesting. Previously I thought about having my own post-production talent agency, so I thought this is going to be a good experience, and I did marketing and PR for them. But then turns out I don't really like being in-house.
Great to learn. Great to have learned that.
Yeah, good to learn that. So I went back to Hungary. I worked on an Amazon series as an producer's assistant because I thought, okay, I have a gap there. I've done distribution, I've done PR, done marketing, done a little production, but I haven't done like a big production yet. So let's do a little bit of that. So that was awesome. And then I did the distribution summit, and now we're here.
How's the distribution summit?
The distribution summit was good.
What was your role within organizing the summit?
So I'm the co-founder of it and the producer, which means I organized, most of it. I think Chris is not going to be angry if I say that this year he was a little bit less hands-on than the first year because he had another event coming up. So basically, originally my job would have been to organize all the speakers, some of the logistics, and anything else in terms of volunteers and whatever else comes up. But eventually this time he didn't really have time to do the marketing and pushing the event and all that kind of stuff. So I had to do a lot of that as well. So I learned that it's very hard when you're alone.
To do it all.
It's good to have someone else to help you. Because the first time when we did the summit, we did it at a place, like at a venue that we knew, and that makes it much easier, I think. Plus my previous colleague was there, and this time it was a completely new venue. We went back to Queen Mary. They were our sponsors. They've given us one of their beautiful new big rooms, so it was amazing. But again, you have to like learn about that venue and learn about it by being there. And the first day when we got there, we realized we don't have internet. And just starting stuff like that, because they have such a secure IT system that you would have you needed to request the whatever. Anyhow,
obviously.
so yeah. So that was it.
How did you go about? Because I feel like it's quite hard, especially if the summit is only 2 years in. It can be quite hard attracting speakers to come and speak. So what was your? I can imagine you have relationships from the previous year, but what's your approach when you're reaching out to people to try and get them involved?
I usually invite my friends.
Nice. As in, not even trying to get butts and seats. So trying to get the speakers organised to come to the event.
I invite most of my friends.
Nice.
So, because I work for a couple of independent companies. So as I mentioned Premier PR.
Yeah.
We had Elizabeth coming from Premier PR being on the festivals and markets panel talking about what they would do. We had E1 people in, we had Picture House people, we had Odeon. Well, my friend from Odeon got sick, so he had to cancel that day. But, so I think about 80% of the people who were there
were personal connections you used.
Yeah, and then the other 20% would have been someone who got recommended to me through a personal connection who couldn't make it.
Okay, gotcha. So people, for instance, like, I think, was Zach Brilliant there? Was Zach there? Yeah. Is that a personal connection through...
NFTS.
NFTS, no way.
Zach came to teach us in our first year, and I had a rule. I tried to follow up with every single teacher who we had coming in, and then just go for coffees and stay friends.
Yeah. So do you have a spreadsheet somewhere where you keep all of your information of all the people you've ever met?
Funny you should ask. I am working on a spreadsheet now.
You're trying to make it?
Because I realized that the past 8 years I have a lot of connections and keep forgetting about like stuff that's in my email. So I need to have a big black book of...
Exactly. You should get a physical book. I don't think it should be an email list. I think you should get a physical, huge book.
No, because you can lose that. No, I'm going to have an Excel sheet, a beautiful singing, dancing Excel sheet.
You can put it in the cloud.
Yeah. No, I'm probably not going to put it in the cloud because everyone's email is going to be on it. I'm going to put it on a secret hard drive that no one can reach.
Okay, so how, especially when you applied for the NFTS new course, I'm assuming they're still running the new course, the distribution course.
Thanks God.
What does it focus on?
It would be terrible if they fail after 3 years. We've done the course that failed. No, they're running it.
It mostly focuses on distribution, you were saying, right?
Yes, so it was marketing, distribution, sales and exhibition for film, TV and games. So I don't think everyone actually comprehends what a big subject that is.
I can imagine.
Because you start from you do development and stuff as well, because part of acquisition would be like feedbacking on scripts and stuff. You work a lot with the producers. I'm actually surprised that not more of us from the whole class are interested in crossing over and do producing. So that was always my thing.
Yeah.
But everyone else is sort of like sticking to sales and distribution or games. So I think I'm the only one who's actually doing more producing on the side.
It's madness. And so did you, your experiences at Picture House, and I guess Curzon was more the EFM, your experience at Picture House, was that during NFTS? Was that
during
a
NFTS.
secondment kind of thing?
So we had to do a couple of internships, and I already worked with Picture House because one of my friends at the time, he was the one who gave me my first internship in distribution. He had a documentary and he was self-distributing it, so I helped him self-distribute that documentary. Then he got me on to do Sundance London as a volunteer and venue manager with another lady together. So we did that for a couple of years, and then because Sundance London was under Picture House, when my first internship fell through a week before I needed to start, I called him up and said, like, do you have something for me? I need to start something straight away that pays, because a lot of people can take unpaid internships, but
a lot of people can't.
A lot of people can't. So I had to find one that was paid. So I found one. So he was like, he came back in half an hour saying, yes, come help us out with Picture House Entertainment, because Picture House Entertainment was slightly different the year before, and then they split, and half of the crew stayed there, half of the other one went to work for another company. So they were starting anew, and we said, this is Picture House 2.0. And they had a couple of good films coming out. They had God's Own Country, A Ghost Story. What else did we have at the time? Can't remember.
I mean, God's Own Country was huge, right? That was such a huge splash.
So they needed a lot of help over summer. And again, it was supposed to be 6 weeks. And I think from June till September, I was there, or mid-October, when we started to have like more classes and it got busy. And next year, I again just walked in, said hi in the office, and I was like, do you need some help? Because I don't have anything for this summer. We didn't have to do anything that summer. Everyone was free to take a break. You know, you're allowed to do that as well sometimes, a couple of weeks. You still have assignments to do and work on shorts.
Yeah.
But then they were like, yeah, we're drowning in work. So I went back for another 3 or 4 months as a freelancer. So I was
Contracted
there.
by Picture House.
Yeah, for like 3 Sundances and 2 summers. Yeah, it was good. It was fun. They're very nice. They let me read scripts.
So what's the day-to-day like? I imagine that it evolves year on year in terms of your responsibilities.
Yeah.
But what kind of things did you end up doing in the last year while you were there?
Sure. So in the last year, we had The Wife coming up. And as you know, it was nominated for an Oscar. So they were sort of like working on that and how you do that with PR and marketing. I had to do a lot of outreach. The Wife was based on a book, so I helped with a lot of that. Book festivals, that kind of stuff.
Is that just basically cold calling book festivals, cold emailing?
Yes, doing a lot of that.
Yeah.
And bookshops and everything book related that you can come up with. And then what else? So the marketing team needed some help, and you always have to like create a lot of presentations and take pictures from online for all kinds of purposes. You do a lot of tracking of other cinemas and other films, and you collate databases all the time. There's a lot of data in distribution, so that was fun too. What else? Because it's a small team, so you get to do a little bit of everything. Did loads of poster dispatching, prize dispatching, trailer dispatching, and then when acquisition needed help, I was begging for them. So I was like, please let me read some scripts. So I would do a couple of script reads.
Produce a report.
Do the report, and then you can do different type of reports, but I like to do the more detailed ones when you actually look up some ComScore numbers as well, and then you do your comparable title projections.
Yeah.
So those are fun.
Is that kind of like a guesstimation kind of thing, where it's comparable titles? You're like, this is fairly similar.
Kind of. So I'm actually teaching someone distribution and sales this week, and we talked a lot about comparable titles. I love comparable titles. I think it's really fun. You can do them differently. You can have tonally, you can have it for a script, you can have it for a film, you can have it by genre, all kinds of stuff. But when you actually look into numbers and data, those are the comparable titles that not older than like 5 years old. The budget is very similar, and you have other similarities. So you have a very you have a couple of what should I say? Do you know what I mean?
I think so. They have like a lot of data.
So you've got some rules by which you classify that this is going to be a good comparable title.
It's like principles.
Exactly, principles. And then you look up the numbers, and you look up how much they've done overall and how much they've done in the first week and on the weekend and in each territory and all that kind of stuff. And you just look at it and make sense out of it.
For the purpose of that, I guess it would be, because when you're reading scripts, it's basically they're looking for funding at this point. So they're looking for comparable titles in order to raise funding to be able to produce it.
So you have to show that it will do really well. It has a market value. Yeah. Basically.
And who were you submitting those to? Were Picture House funding their own films, their production company in their own right? In terms of Picture House Entertainment?
I mean you can do script reads for so many different purposes and for different companies. Picture House was a distribution company, so they were reading scripts because they were acquiring films, and they wanted to know if it's a good script or not. They usually do buy on completion. I think they buy at festivals still. But at the same time, your job as an acquisition person is to keep track of all talent and what's coming out and what's the competition on the market. And that starts from the script stage. You want to know what other people will buy, and maybe other people will buy on the script and they will develop. You want to know what they're developing, and you'll be reading.
Yeah, totally. Would you want to go back into that, I guess, that company specifically? Would you want to go back and keep carrying out that role? Or do you have different visions of where you want to go next?
I'm happy. I'm happy to go back for a couple of months, usually. I really like them. They're very nice people. And I enjoy doing acquisition. I think I would be happy to go and work for a company in acquisitions. Okay. But I have different ideas.
You're easy.
I I have so many ideas that I need to figure out which ones I want to do.
So I'm guessing you have a sense, I think a lot of people that graduate in FTS do desire to produce things in their own right. Is that correct for you? Are there some things that you want to produce yourself? I know you mentioned the sci-fi podcast.
Yes.
You have podcasting, is there also video form content that you're looking at?
Absolutely. So I just signed up to be a producer on a feature film.
Nice.
That's for kids. It's a beautiful film by a Hungarian writer based on a book, and the producers are Hungarian as well, but also sort of British because they've been living here for a couple of years, well, decades, a couple of decades. So that's going to be a good one. So we're working on that. And then there's my other friend with the music documentary, which I'm going to help produce that one. And then I want to do a couple of my own. So I'm just writing those ones and we'll see where we go with that.
Okay. Are those any features that you're producing?
No, I want to do a short first. That's really on my mind at the moment. And maybe something else later.
That's incredible. So do you think that you're going to carry out those projects before you consider going back into pursuing distribution or marketing or exhibition full time, or you're happy to juggle both?
Well, it's a difficult question. It depends on the offer, depends on the company, depends on how many days they need me.
But you're not actively pursuing those opportunities, at least at the moment, because you have a lot on your mind.
No. Right? I'm actively pursuing more script reads because I want to, first of all, I need to pay my bills. Yeah. Second of all, I kind of want to, we all, stay on top of what the situation is with the market, who's buying, what is good out there, who's good. Like, even if I'm not working as an acquisition person for anyone, I still think like one in my mind. So I have to carry on doing that every day.
And how did you make your start in script reading? Was that Picture House was the first place you started reading scripts for like a paid opportunity, or was it back at EFM?
Before, EFM, but I did Picture House before EFM as well. I think, the first ones were through my crowdfunding. That was fun. And everyone who listens who's my crowdfunder, I will complete all of them, I promise.
I see. So people donate money to your crowdfunding
so
campaign.
when I did my crowdfunding, one of the most popular perks was a script read. Oh, cool. And so I started reading a couple of scripts at the beginning of an FTS because I thought like I should complete my promises and fulfill my promises, and also it's going to be a good experience and good practice as well. But I do think they'll get a better script read out of me in a couple of years down the line. So now I'm going to do all of them that I haven't finished yet.
Okay, nice.
Yeah, so those were the first ones. And I did Picture House, then EFM. And while at EFM, I did a couple of extra ones for different companies. Our teachers would just put us in touch with companies from abroad who were EFM and they needed people to read for the next day or something. So I did some of those ones as well. And then I met people at EFM who I liked, so then I did some for them as well. Yeah, amazing. You always meet people. Wherever you go, you meet people and you ask them and you're like, can I read? It doesn't always work out, but yeah. Then I did a little short internship for New Sparta. So I spent 2 or 3 weeks with them and I was just reading for them every single day in the office. That was a good one. Because they're an investment company, production investment, so they look at it from a completely different angle.
Financial.
So I was like, okay, this is awesome, I like this.
You like the financial element of it?
I like that you're reading for different purposes and you have to keep things in mind, and I can still use my previous knowledge or like my distribution sales hat, but also apply it to what they need.
Is what they need essentially returns on their film?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
It's such a...
So I think they actually really like the distribution and sales angle because they never got anyone who did that before.
Yeah.
They usually just had normal development execs just thinking about how to develop the script better. But I also started giving them like market view and all that kind of stuff. I'm like, whoa, that's completely new.
Right?
Yeah.
And so would you think that's part of potential career future for you in terms of helping advise investment funds on whether or not to invest in companies?
For sure. I do consultancy now, so yeah.
Nice.
That's why when someone asks me to read a script, that's the kind of script read they're probably going to get. Yeah. Or they tell me what they need and I can
then you can
tailor it. But yeah.
So how would you recommend if one wants to go about script reading? How would you go about breaking into the market? Would you just say offer?
I wouldn't say I cracked it. I think you just have to ask a lot of people and just keep doing them.
Nice.
Probably just email a lot. Use LinkedIn. Everyone uses LinkedIn.
You message people on LinkedIn? Cold message?
God, yeah.
Works?
Yeah, LinkedIn has this feature when they pair you up with other people as for like a mentorship. Mm-hmm. So I keep thinking, oh, that must be a good sign. They're just like, they think we will hit it off. So I'll just email them and you should hit it off with those people.
That's incredible. I didn't actually know that. So they will suggest people that would want to be your mentors.
I think you have to tick something on your page, and then you're just gonna get suggestions every week or something.
Nice.
Follow up on those suggestions. They're great, and they're usually people who are not within your reach. Because there's I think there's a pool, and you can reach people through like a second connection or something, but you can't message anyone if they're like your third connection. But these people are nowhere near my second connection.
And the response rates are pretty decent?
Oh, everyone. They're like, you want me? Yeah, I'll come and talk to you. What do you want to talk about? Nicest people.
Amazing.
Literally, yeah.
I think it's so interesting to think about which kind of industries and which platform they use to network. Because I think a lot more creative people do use Twitter and Instagram rather than LinkedIn. But I think that the business side of film definitely still is fairly traditional.
For sure. I use Twitter and LinkedIn for everything. Twitter is the best. You literally just get the notifications of every single new film that goes into production, whatever. You just sign up for Screen Daily, Variety. Variety tweets a lot though. So only sign up if you're ready for that. Like 16 tweets per hour. And it repeats some of them. So sometimes I desubscribe from that.
Go back when
it's
you're
a little
ready.
bit too much. But Screen Daily is good.
Okay.
I definitely have alerts on Screen Daily every single day. I'm like, oh, what's happening?
You just look the market.
Yeah. You get all the stuff about box office. Literally just in one sentence, you're just like, okay, Joker's still on top.
And still on top. And still on top.
Or someone merged, someone bought something, someone opened a new company. Just that's it. You just get the headlines. And then if something's really interesting, you'll go and open it up. But
So if you were to rewind, I guess it's only about 8 months. Is there anything, maybe from the midway point of your master's onwards, or anything that you would have either done differently, or if somebody was in that position, is there any advice that you would give them, knowing now what you know, with about the year and a half under your belt?
Yeah, I mean, you can rest later when you get old. The weekends are there to work.
You can sleep later.
Yes, I mean, it's important. Don't overwork yourself. That was the main feedback I constantly got from school, that you're taking on too much and you should probably select what you want to do. But at the same time, I feel like I can do that when I'm getting older. I don't want to miss out on anything. So just maybe my biggest advice is to see the whole picture and try everything out a little bit if you like it, and then make a decision that, okay, this is really for me.
And it sounds like you're incredibly good at reaching out to people and staying in touch. Is there any specific strategies?
Everyone keeps saying that. I don't understand this. All I do is email someone a nice message, and I only email them if I would like. So, or if you go to a networking, most people are terrified of networking. I think it's just making friends.
Yeah. Or it has such a negative connotation, the notion of networking.
But don't say networking, and then it doesn't have a connotation. But
totally.
I'm not gonna stand there and speak to someone if I don't like them. But if I like them, I'm gonna go and speak to them, and then I'm just gonna email afterwards as well. So it's not brain surgery. You just, if you like someone, you go and talk to them, and if you don't, you don't. I mean, it's difficult. I need a glass of wine to go and talk to someone, but that's fine. They usually give you a free one at the beginning.
Then you're okay.
Yeah.
So that's the thing. I think at least when it's a cold email, it can be a little more disingenuous, or a little harder.
I just pretend we're already friends.
Okay.
That's how it. Yeah. I literally think that we're already friends, and if we're not, then they're probably gonna tell me later. So
exactly. And then we soon will be friends. So
yeah. So I assume we're gonna be friends here. So here we are.
We already are. Is there anything for your raps, or anything that you think you might have missed out, or anything that you came here today thinking you wanted to get across to either us or any of the filmmakers that might be watching?
Oh, for sure. Don't think your film is for everyone. Start thinking about your audience right away.
Yeah.
I mean, I know it's silly, and every distribution probably tells you this, it's not silly. You think it's silly, but audience is the most important thing. And when you have a script or when you have an idea, you should already think about it, because your film is not going to be for everyone. Even if it's a tentpole, even Star Wars is not for everyone. You can hone it down, and you can do a really, really good campaign and release strategy if you know who you're making it for. So I would get someone who understands distribution right from the beginning.
And I know that it's hard to distill a whole 2-day event into a few takeaways, but are there specific things that you can list off that you felt like you walked away from the summit this year knowing and wanting to remember that you hadn't previously?
In terms of like, if I were a filmmaker, because I didn't get to see a lot of the panels.
That you invited.
I had to be outside and bringing the speakers in.
Unbelievable.
And be like, we're late, they could kick us out from the venue.
Is there anything that you took away from it in any kind of regard? It can be an event organizing, it can be reaching out to people.
Well, there was one when I listened in a little bit on the poster and trailer panels, and they were really good as well. Like all of them were really good. So I lied. I listened in most of them for like 4 or 5 minutes. I tried to like, at least, so I can see everyone speaking and take a couple of pictures. But on the poster one, they were talking about building a world when you're making a film or you're going to start your company, and world building, I think it's like a very nice concept, and everyone should like be mindful of that.
Yeah.
So yeah, they were saying, and they were completely right as well, like the designers were saying, so even if your poster designer knows that, then every producer probably should know that. Once you have your film, once you have your production company, start doing the social media, because then you'll have at least like 400 or 500 people by the time you finish, and that's not when you have to start doing it, because that's too late already. So start building your world and kind of think about the bigger picture. That's always the one. That was my big takeaway, the bigger picture.
In terms of creating community around the film itself.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. You good to wrap, sir? Were you about to take a picture?
I took a video. Just as it was in the madness of it.
Oh, cute.
Madness of talking about do your social media. Well, I'm like, I should do my social media.
I should post it on my channel.
I do genuinely hate social media.
I know,
by the way.
it's such a necessary evil.
As a marketing person, that was the hardest part of my job. I just literally hated
having to do it so much.
I didn't want to open up Instagram any day, because I was like, I hate Instagram. I don't have Instagram for myself, and now I have to do this for a company.
But I mean, Twitter, I think for film,
but Twitter's good.
Amazing.
Twitter's useful.
Even just like cold DMing people. It's crazy on Twitter. Crazy. What kind of stuff
I never dared to like cold tweet someone. In terms of, do you know what I mean? I never done that.
No, but then I don't know how, I still haven't figured out Twitter. I don't know how you direct message someone on Twitter. I think you have to follow them and they follow you back.
Yeah, that's the only way. Yeah, I message people when they followed me back, so that's fine. But I have never done that when you like, you start following them and then you tweet their name and like, hey, can I get your email? No, I've never done that.
No.
That's a little bit weird.
That's hard, I guess, because then you have to get them to follow you back before you can reach out to them.
Well, it's also disingenuous.
Which one?
Where it's like, hey, I followed you, here's my email, reach out. It's like,
well, sometimes I mean, sometimes you try and follow a producer because you want to talk to them. So there was one when someone recommended someone else, and they said, we don't know their email, but here's their Twitter. I'm like, okay, but how the hell am I going to get in touch with him? Like, okay, I can follow him, but I still can't speak to him. Yeah. It's very difficult.
Have you cracked it? Have you figured it out yet?
Yeah, he started following me, so I just
and then you messaged him. Okay, amazing.
Follow for follow.
So, hashtag follow for follow.
Be friendly, yeah. But how's everything going for you guys with the film?
Good.
And,
Good. We're based on post. We're working on our first cut, and then we're going to send it around, get some comments, and then we're probably going to go to the festival circuit first. Yeah. Keeping in contact with distribution companies. Yeah. And we'll take it from there, I think.
Who are your main distribution targets for this?
At least, I think we might be misaligned on some of them, but there's ones in the UK that I'm looking at. I don't know. I'm torn in the UK between creative distribution and traditional distribution companies, just because a lot of films that are in our budget range, which is like 150K, is getting a traditional distribution deal, at least at that level, usually ends up, I don't know how much I'm slouching.
It would be no MG and...
yeah, I know what I mean, but it's either that company's going to get consumed by another distribution company, and that's usually when your receipts stop coming in. There's this, I've said the story a couple of times. There's Naomi McDougall-Jones, who is an American filmmaker. Her first film, she got a traditional distribution deal. She made in 2014 with it. In 2019, she made $5,000 over those past 5 years. That's it from the distribution deal. Yeah. And then in her second feature film in 2017. She booked like 52 cinemas in the US, got in an RV, drove around the US, self-distributed it, did filmmaker Q&As along the way, made them like event-based. She made more money in the first week with that than the past 5 years with the traditional distribution.
Well, it makes sense.
It's just crazy, because just the distribution companies are so opaque, their overheads are so high, they don't have to give you reports on how much... Also, it's like...
They do have to give you reports.
But the reports they give you are so high level. It'll be like, this is how much we got in. Our marketing budget's half of that. Our overheads are like another half of that's left over, and then you get like $50 left over.
I think it can be really difficult, and especially when you're a small film, it's harder to get a theatrical release. It's not going to pay off that well for the distribution company either. So it's just very difficult.
I think that level of filmmaking, I don't think the distribution model's cracked yet. I think it's really fucked.
No, I think around the 150K level, that's more than like event release. You do an event release, self-distribution type, and you can get a theatrical distributor for that as well. Like my friend, do you know? Are we still recording? No more, right?
No, are we recording?
Okay.